one with my Twitter and one with my Gemini. This is my first Twitch stream ever. So I've always wanted to do content. I watch other streamers on my TikTok. My background is in marketing and advertising. I have a marketing agency, so I have all the tools. My website is anier.com. I have all my social media profiles set up, integrated. Everything is ready. Everything is set. My website is set. My business is set. ARV Marketing. Check us out on Instagram. Everything is set. Now I'm at a point where I can start creating content. I can start promoting my website anier.com. I can start growing my businesses. I can start sharing my expertise, because I really do have expertise. I have over 5 years in the business, working for companies and taking on clients for my own marketing and advertising agency. So it's really been a journey. It's really been a long journey and an exciting journey, and the key was to not give up. The key was to keep going and have a vision and follow it all the way through. And now we're doing this. We're creating content. I can definitely see myself getting to a point where I've always wanted to get to, sooner rather than later. I feel like all of the pieces of the puzzle have been found. Now I'm at a point where I'm just putting them together. And it should be fun. Alright, so what is marketing and why does it matter? So marketing is a very broad topic. I mean, there's an incredible amount of aspects to it. There's marketing, there's branding, there's advertising, there's digital marketing, there's marketing in person. There's many things that come with it. There's a lot to marketing. Building relationships, your brand. I mean, even if you don't have a business, you yourself, you are a brand. The way you carry yourself, how people see you, how you dress, who you are, how you interact with people, what people remember about you, is all part of your brand, right? So let's talk about a little bit of the difference between marketing and advertising. What comes to my mind, and what usually comes to other people's mind, is paid ads, right? Either on Facebook or on Google. And a little bit of the difference between Facebook ads and Google ads is that with Facebook, it's a push method of advertising, right? You're pushing out your ad to people, to a cold audience, right? More than likely, you're pushing out your Facebook ad to somebody that has never seen your brand before, to somebody that has never seen your service before, right? So it's a push method of advertising. As opposed to Google ads, Google ads is a pull method of advertising. Why? Because the way Google ads works is that people are actually typing in a search query, and then that's how they end up getting to your website, right? Or to your service, or to your advertisement. So the difference is that with Facebook, you're pushing out your ad, you're sending it to people, you're forcing it on people's faces, right? And then on the other hand, Google ads, people are actually typing in a certain search query, and then that's how they end up finding your advertisement, right? That's how they end up finding you. So the difference is push and pull are the two different methods of advertising. Your target audience. Your target audience is super important, because ideally, and this is what super big company, advanced companies do is they research their target audience. They know exactly who their target audience is. They know exactly what they like. They know exactly how they react. They know exactly how they interact with content. And then based on their target audience, since they know them so well, then they're able to create content around this. They're able to create advertisements around this. Why? Because they know what will make their target audience based on their demographic, based on their age, based on their interests, based on their psychology, based on consumer behavior. They will know how their target audience will interact with the advertisement, right? So that's one really important thing about ads. Who are you talking to? I mean, ideally you'd want to know exactly who your customer is, right? It'll work for both ends of the stick, right? It'll work for yourself, because then the customer will appreciate you knowing exactly who they are, because then now at this point, since you know them so well, you're creating content specifically tailored to what they like, who they are, what their interests are, how they will interact with whatever it is that you're creating for them, right? I mean, there's branding, there's your logo. Your logo really, depending on your logo, it can really make or break how you want your audience to feel about your business, right? I mean, your logo can be bold. It can have a certain color that can portray a certain emotion. Your logo is the face of your brand. Think of it when you see somebody and you look at their face, and then you have an idea of who they are. It's the same thing for your business. As soon as they see your logo, as soon as they see the face of your brand, then at this point the consumer has already made an ideal profile for your business, right? So it's very similar. Personalization in advertisement. Guys, it's very interesting because not a lot of business owners know this about advertising, but you can personalize an advertisement based on which pages of your website a certain audience has visited. So for example, if you run a cold ad and you send this traffic to a service page, it can be, for example, pressure washing, right? But your business also does many different services other than pressure washing. The next ad that you can run to this audience that visited the pressure washing page can be just for pressure washing, and then all of a sudden it'll be a lot more likely for this audience to convert because they already showed interest in this specific page. So it's huge. So there's also different ad formats, right? With your advertisement, you can send people, you have many options of where you want to send this traffic. For example, you can send them to a landing page, you can send them to a website page, you can send them to an on Facebook form or a Google form, you can send them to a scheduling platform. So there's really many options for where you want to send this traffic, which is very interesting, and it's important to know because based on where you send this traffic is how this advertisement will convert and how this advertisement will perform. So that was a few topics that I wanted to touch on, and most of them were on related to marketing and advertisement. But now we can segment into my Twitter page, and we can kind of go over the tweets that I've been putting out lately, which it's more focused on lifestyle in general and my values and my mindset, and basically how I like to think, how I like to grow, and where I'm coming from So the first one says the road to financial freedom starts with taking care of your body and your mind. So it says the road to financial freedom starts with taking care of your body and mind. I can do a better job at diving a little bit deeper into this. I mean, taking care of your body is your temple, right? Your body is the most important thing, the most important asset to you. It's where everything stems from, right? Wealth starts within. And when I say within, I don't just mean your mindset. I mean literally your body. Your thoughts come from within, from the gut, from you. So if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't take care of your gut, your body, your mind isn't going to be all the way there either. So this is why, I mean, the first step to financial freedom, I believe, is just making sure that you're eating the right foods, you're getting enough sleep, your mindset is there, you're taking care of yourself, you're conscious of how you feel throughout the day, right? You're conscious of, if you eat a certain food, how you feel as in comparison to when you eat a different type of food, right? So just taking every day and just being conscious of these type of things are huge, in my opinion, when it comes to like getting to that next level of your business, getting to that next level of your body, getting to that next level of your mindset, right? And then each one of these things, they intertwine with each other. They're cohesive, right? So that was my little take on that part. So moving on to the next tweet. Don't let others take from you what makes you special just because they're not developed enough to see it. Let me say that again. Don't let others take away from you what makes you special just because they're not developed enough to see it. And I mean, this is a big one. Everybody's unique. Everybody's super unique, but in this world makes us think that sometimes we need to be like the other person, like the next person, or it paints a picture, and sometimes society might tell you, this is the ideal picture for you, right? You need to be this way in order to be successful, in order to have a business. This is the roadmap, right? But I don't. There's certain roadmaps, and then there's a difference between following a certain roadmap, right, and something that is just rightful, and there's a difference between, giving up who you are and giving up what makes you unique in order to get to a certain point in societal approval, right? If that makes sense. Because I don't know if you noticed, I don't know if you can tell, but the people that are there, the people that made it, most of them, 99% of these people, they're unique. They stick to their own thoughts. They are who they are. They have their own belief system. They don't succumb to everyone else's opinions, right? When they see something, when they get a piece of information, they question it. They run it by their own thoughts, their own experience, right? Their own. They run these whatever they see or whatever info they're given. These successful individuals, they run this information through their own way of thinking, through who they are, through their authentic selves. And I believe that this is how we all should operate. I believe that this is how I want to operate, right? I want to have my own belief system. I want to be confident in myself to a point where if I'm given information by somebody, I need to run this by myself. I need to run this by my own personal experience. I need to run this information by who I am, right? So again, let me repeat the quote. Don't let others take from you what makes you special just because they're not developed enough to see it. So people will have their own narrative, right? People will have their own perspective, And oftentimes they will try to tell you that their perspective is the norm, right? Their perspective is what is correct. But the issue there is that everybody has a different perspective based on their own experience and based on what they have gone through in life, right? So then how could you possibly take this one person's perspective and believe that it's right if everybody else has a different perspective and we all have our very own perspective and way of interacting with life, right? It's impossible. It's impossible to take just this one person's opinion and not run it by what you know, by who you are, right? So there's two ways to live life. One of the ways will be to take this information as is and run with it, and then the other way would be to question it, to think to yourself, is this what's right? Is this who I am? Is this what I personally actually believe, right? So I think the latter is the better way to approach it. I have this other tweet that I tweeted earlier today, and as I was thinking about it, as I was projecting these words and these emotions on my Twitter, I was like, whoa, this actually sounds like a poem. That's how good it was. But what it says is, lead with love and you will leave yourself laughing at how easy life becomes. Lead with love and you will leave yourself laughing at how easy life becomes. And I mean, this quote is pretty much self-explanatory. If you lead with love, if you're intentional about making the world a better place, if you're intentional about, actually caring for others, uplifting others, empowering others, if you're intentional about bettering yourself as a person so then you can help other people, right? Then life becomes so much better. Life opens up to you in incredible ways that you have never even began to imagine. And I'm seeing this myself as I become the person that I want to become, as I every day go through life being a little bit more authentic each and every day, right? As I do this, I notice that I'm becoming a better person. Another thing is you hear a lot, it's not about the journey, it's about who you become in the process of getting to that destination, right? And I'm coming to find out that this is actually the truth. Like, I've been on this journey for a while, but the process who I'm becoming in the process of getting to that destination, it has been the most special part of the journey. So I drifted a little bit, but let me go back to the quote. So, lead with love and you will leave yourself laughing at how easy life becomes. And that's what it is, guys. Let's go to the next one. Experience is so important for entrepreneurship because you really have to develop a keen sense for what's worth your time and what's not. This one's huge, right? So as entrepreneurs, sometimes we want to think that there are hacks, right? There are shortcuts to success, that we can get to a certain metric without actually putting in all of the work that is actually required to get to a certain metric, right? And guys, I've come to learn that this is not the actual case, right? Let me give you an example. For example, a lot of baseball players, right? They get drafted from the Dominican Republic, or they get signed. They get a signing bonus to play baseball, and they get, I don't know, a few $100,000, right? But then what happens 95% of the time is that in a year or two, these players find themselves out of this signing bonus because they didn't know what to do with the money. They didn't know where to invest it. They didn't have the financial knowledge to actually do something with it, right? So even though they made it, even though they got that bonus, they didn't actually earn that financial knowledge to be able to keep this money, to be able to multiply this money, right? So this ties into a quote because experience is so important for entrepreneurship, and you really have to put in the work. You really have to show up every single day, and you have to have confidence in yourself first and foremost, guys. I can't stress this enough. If you don't have confidence in yourself as an entrepreneur, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it because nobody will believe you until you actually do it. And that's just facts. The start, 50% of this journey is to actually get started, right? That's usually the biggest hurdle to get over, is to actually get started. But guys, once you're there, once you get started, and once you believe in yourself, it gets a lot easier. Answers start coming out of nowhere, right? Ideas start popping out of nowhere. Once you get to a point where you're authentic to who you are, you're doing the correct things, you're at a place where you're doing everything you wanted to do, it gets a lot easier to be creative. It gets a lot easier to think of new things. It gets a lot easier to be able to connect with people, to be who you are, and to show yourself, to portray yourself as your authentic self. You're being yourself. You're having your own thoughts. You're going through life as you always wanted to, and you're working hard, right? And this energy is contagious. You have to be that light, right? On to the next little quote on my Twitter feed. Having a great friend is a blessing. Guys, friendship is everything. I'm all about friendship. Friendship is very important and it's very delicate, in my opinion. I'm super passionate. Friendship to me is super important, right? Like, I value friendship like nothing else. Because I'm all about friendship. Growing up, I had a very amazing childhood, right? I grew up in Cuba, and all we did was hang out with our friends. All we did was go outside, climb a tree, ride a bicycle, hang out with my friends, mess around. So friendships is very important to me ever since I was a kid. And even now, I feel like you never want to lose that child, right? You never want to let anything in life take away that child, that your inner child, right? That you are, even though obviously there's certain ways to go about it, and you have to mature. You have to get to a certain point. You never want to lose that inner child that you've always had, because this is part of what makes you special, right? So yeah, having a great friend is a blessing, guys. This is the last one. This is the last quote that I'm going to talk about from my Twitter. And it says, once you're able to envision it, all you have to do is work towards it. And I promise you're going to get it. Right? 50% of getting to where you want to get is actually being able to see it, right? It's actually being able to envision it and seeing the vision in your head and knowing where it is that you want to get to. From there's a gap, right? There's a gap from where you are now to your vision, but then it's tangible at that point. It's tangible because you see it and because you believe it. So all you have to do is work towards it. At that point, all you have to do is work towards it. You have to create a plan. You have to show up every day, and you have to work towards it. But 50% of it was actually having that vision and believing in yourself, seeing yourself at that point, right? Seeing yourself there. So that's it for today, guys. That was my last quote. That was my last little bit of knowledge, and I hope you enjoyed this. I'm gonna make a good amount of clips from this video, so you'll be seeing me on every platform. Thank you.